Hey, everybody. How are you all doing out there in Beading land? It's Kristen Fagan with Softlex Company, and I am live with Joyce Trowbridge from Just Beat It today. Hi, Joyce.
Hello. I'm just so excited that we're doing this. I
I
know it was like
know.
planned ahead, but then last minute too at the same time because time just goes by so fast.
It does. Well, I don't usually have anyone on with me on Mondays. So this is a real treat
Mhm.
for all of my friends that join me on Monday for Free Spirit Beading. Yeah, I'm usually on my
Yeah.
own, and the beading parties are on Wednesday, but we had a little change in our schedule this week,
Yeah.
and so happy to have you here with me. So thanks for joining me, Joyce.
Well, I'm so excited. I always love your Mondays
Thank
watching
you.
you.
It was funny, like Joyce says, it kind of crept up on us because normally I get the stream set up and the graphics and all the things done. And on Friday, I was like putzing around my studio at the end of the day. And I was like, what am I going to do on Monday? What am I going to do on Monday? And nothing was coming to me. And so I just went, oh, fine, I'll go back to the computer and think about it later. And then I looked at the calendar and I was like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
Joyce is going to be with me on Monday. I don't have to figure out what I need to do. It must have been the
Oh
universe being like, knock, knock.
no.
You don't, you don't need to come up with a project right now. Like,
Oh
go back and check out your schedule.
yeah.
So that was a lovely surprise. And it was
Oh
late on Friday. And I was just like, oh my gosh, Joyce, you're going to be with me
yeah.
on Monday. I don't know what we're doing. And I have to do all the
And I'm like,
graphics.
neither do I.
Oh, we've got quite a few
Yeah.
people joining us. Hey,
Oh yay.
everybody. Let
Hello,
me
hello.
let me see who's here. We've got hey, Gail's here. She's always here. And you're first today, Gail. I noticed that for a few times you were not first, and I didn't want to say anything, but I see that you're first again today. So welcome back. Oh, Dana's here. Jessica, Huggles Jessica. Susie is here. And Lydia. Oh, Sam is here. Sam says, Joyce, practically a neighbor.
Yes. Hi, Sam.
Oh my gosh. Hi, Kara and Angelina and Sherry and Cindy, Janita and Brenda. Oh, Brenda's seeing that Sam has joined too, and Paula and Christine and Rose and Sandra and Stacy and Sophie and Maria and Sue. I love doing that in the beginning. I feel like it's like romper room.
I do the same thing. I've been like, I have a partial little mirror. One of these days, I'm going to have that up. My little.
Oh, that would be really cute.
Yeah, I already started one. I just got
Did
to finish
you?
it. Yeah.
Are you beating it?
Oh, of course.
Of
Of course.
course.
It
I can't wait
has
to
to have
see it.
beads on it. Yeah.
So, just to spill the beans a little bit before we get started. So, if you guys don't know Joyce, she is with Just Beat It in Concord, California. She's been a dear friend of Softlex Company for many, many, many years. We love having her on here for the beading parties. We've had her in our customer appreciation weeks. And you were a brick and mortar store,
Yes.
correct? And
Yes.
then the world got crazy.
Yep. And we had to ride the roller coaster and change things up.
Yep. So I think you were working out of your garage for a while at one point,
Yes.
and they have a
Still
great
kind of am.
doing the at-home thing. I totally am down with that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
have a great Etsy shop, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So how can
Yes.
people find Just Beat It? It looks like
That
soft.
is
Yeah.
that is definitely the first place to go is to the Just Beat It. That's our website that is kind of not quite together right now because
Okay.
I have problems with that website. I need my helpers to help me that.
Gotcha.
But
So the
our
Etsy shop is
Etsy
the
shop
best place to go.
is the best place right now. And which is our Etsy, and then our shop's name is Just Beat It Conquered, all one word right there. That's the link, perfect.
Awesome.
And then I do have like some of my check beads and Toho seed beads on a jbibeads.com. So that's for like my seed beaters that we had from our brick and mortar. That's a great place to get that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay. So that's a specialty little
Yeah.
part of it that does
Mhm.
seed beads. And did you say check beads too?
Check beads, yes.
Awesome. And that's jbi.com?
jbibeads.com.
jbibeads.com.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
And Sam
the
is
rest of the time it's on Facebook is where I'm at.
Sam says Joyce also has the most awesome make and takes at bead shows.
Yes, I do classes at bead shows and make and takes at bead shows, like at the Oakland show and at the Concord show. Well, Walnut Creek show, whichever.
Very cool.
They call
So ones that are in your local area.
Yeah.
Nearby Concord,
although
California.
I'm looking to expanding. We might be going down to, or we're going to be doing the Pasadena show. And
fun.
So yeah.
When is that?
That is in July, like the end of July. So I'll get some of my my new friends on Facebook. I have from all over, and so I have a lot of Southern California, and you know I'm Northern California, so it'd be nice to kind of meet up with some of those Southern California.
Yeah. That would be so much fun. And are you doing like a new series on Facebook, a Friday series or something?
Yes, I'm starting up Finish It Fridays. So I'm doing little like, okay, we did not finish this project. Let's finish it up and kind of prompt like last time it was bracelets. So we finished some bracelets. I ended up finishing 3 bracelets. I was pretty amazed because I love just hopeful to get one done, you know. So the next one is not until not next week, but the week after. So I'll be putting the event page up.
Awesome. Do you have a little bit of a schedule, or are you just sort of winging it at the moment?
Right now it's a winging it because we've had a few different kinds of appointment things that have to come up, and gotta make that go, you know, follow the schedule. So
yes, no, I
try to get
I love the idea. Finish It Fridays.
Yeah.
I mean, how many of you have unfinished projects at your beading table?
Exactly.
Can I raise 2 hands?
Exactly. So the goal is to kind of have like a prompt as a just in case if you're not sure what to start with, because we have too many projects usually to finish. So like we did bracelets, I'm going to do earrings and pendants on the next one. But there's people that are working on other things.
Yeah.
You know, during that. And we're going to turn it into a Zoom thing too. So.
Oh, so everyone can get together and finish projects together. I love that. That's fantastic. That's really fun too, because it's not just you showing one thing. Since you're going to be finishing something that you've already started, who knows when, everyone else will be doing kind of the same. And that makes really a lot of sense to be in that Zoom format.
Yeah.
Awesome. So fun. So we're just sharing here. There's a Facebook group as well called Just Beat It, Happy Beaters. And the Finish It Fridays we were talking about is on the Just Beat It Facebook page, but you can also join them in the group, which is Just Beat It, Happy Beaters. And then the last big announcement is that we're so happy to have Joyce joining us over in the Softlex Company family. She is going to be helping us out with some procurement duties and inventory stuff. And yes, Sam is saying Joyce is the bestest.
Thank you, Sam.
We so agree, and we are beyond thrilled and excited to have her in the background helping us out, you know, on a part-time basis. So really, really cool. And I just know that it's gonna, it's gonna be exciting for all of us working at Softlex Company, and it's gonna be exciting for all of you because Joyce is just gonna bring her wonderful energy and ideas and, you know, expertise to our procurement department. So thank you, Joyce.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm excited. I mean, I've always admired your company and all the people that I have met so far in Softlex. That such a great opportunity. I couldn't pass it up. I'm excited.
Yes. Oh, yeah. We are too. We are too. Yeah, it's a great group. And as you probably know, so many of us have been around forever together. And,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of speaks volumes, I think, to the company. And of course, the owners, Mike and Scott, and how wonderful they are. And that we all just kind of
Yeah.
hang out forever and ever and ever.
Yep.
Everyone's saying so excited for you. I'm jelly.
Aw.
That's awesome. Welcome, Joyce. That's wonderful for Softlex Company. I agree. Yeah, we're really excited. So she hasn't officially come in, like met the office or anything like that yet, but that will be
Yeah.
soon. I think
Soon.
Sarah and
Yep.
I are headed out of town this week, but I'm sure it'll happen as soon as we get back. And that
Yep.
would be
Yep.
planned. Very, very
That's the
exciting.
plan. Very soon.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, crocheting with wire is what we're going to be
Yes.
talking about today. I'm excited. I've never done any of the wire crochet, and I wanted to do it with, I think we're doing craft wire, right? Softlex
Mm-hmm.
craft wire today.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
you can also do it with our beading wire. And I know that a few of you do it with our Econoflex, which is like
Mm-hmm.
the hobby beading wire. So it's a little bit more, I don't know, it's not as flexible as soft flex, but I think in the bead crochet technique, that actually works in its favor a little bit.
Yes. It works in its favor a little bit when you use the Econoflex,
Yeah, so
version.
that's going to be
But
kind of fun.
yeah, they all three wires have their perks. Have
Right.
it. Yeah. So we're going to be doing the craft wire today, just as a. Um, I slightly feel like the craft wire is a little bit more forgiving for anyone that has never done it before.
Yeah, because the
It
beading wire springs back a little bit. And so that adds just a little extra, maybe a little extra difficulty of just kind of reining it in,
manage
especially I would think in the beginning, like when you're first starting it.
exactly. That just adds to managing it. Just one more level. So the craft wire plus you can kind of, if something happens to the craft wire, you can kind of mold it into, like, okay, stick it into shape and it'll be fine,
That's
and
true.
dandy. So
If
it's
anything
just
breaks on craft wire, you can wrap another piece on there. Like there are a lot of
yeah,
ways to kind of fix it up and make it just fine. So
yes.
yeah, I'm really excited. By Starlet says, I'm intimidated and scared, but ready to try.
Oh yeah, it's not as bad as it looks. It looks and in fact, in a way, it's better if you'd never crocheted before, because sometimes as a crocheter, we hold our things differently because we're used to fibers and you have to hold it. Wire does a different thing, and it actually is a little bit more user friendly, beginner friendly. So I think it's great. You don't even have to know anything about it. We're doing a basic chain stitch with a bead added to the mix, and it just makes it really, really easy.
Awesome.
It,
That's
but
exciting.
looks like it's harder than it is.
I love things like that. Those are like my
Mm-hmm.
favorite when you look at it and you're
Yes.
like, how did this actually happen? But then you're like, hee, really easily.
Yeah.
I know it looks really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a crochet hook. This is
Awesome.
actually my husband's grandmother's crochet hook.
Awesome. I love that. I have like my great grandma's and my grandma's hooks. Yeah.
Yeah,
Love it. I use them all the time.
she had a few crafty things when she passed away, and Bert's mom, my mother-in-law, gave me like a little jar of stuff, and there were a couple of
Oh,
crochet
sweet.
hooks in there. But I have never crocheted, so I was just like, I know I have one, so I'm gonna bring it. But
Awesome.
I'm with all of you of never trying this before, and we'll just see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of beads should we have? Because I think we're just going to do like a mix of
We're
beads.
gonna do like a mix of beads, just like anything. Bead soup is fine. I'm actually putting together a little. I got some new check beads to put up on our Etsy, and because this is our 20th anniversary month here, They're going
Amazing.
out. Yes. So right now
Congratulations.
thank you. We just put our Etsy stuff up 20% off, and I have these new beads to kind of put up this week in celebration. So yeah, we've rode the roller coaster of a bead store for 20 years now,
20
and
years is a long time. That is no
mhm.
easy feat.
So I'm pretty excited. So we're gonna share. So I have like a variety of some of the stuff that I just got that we're gonna put up, and that I have some collections that are gonna go in there. But really, it could be anything. I like to in this. I have a sample that when I flip, I could show.
Mm-hmm.
I am using our flower bouquet instructions as a baseline
Okay.
of like guide. And so I like to have a few bigger things, like maybe like three bigger things, and
Okay.
then 4 or 5 medium size and a whole bunch of little things. You are talking about probably having, let's see, 20, 30, 40, like 45 to 50 beads in a variety of stuff.
Okay.
Thank
That
you, Brenda.
that
So
sounds
I have a sun, I have a birdie, I have flowers, I have fire polish, I have rondelles.
okay.
Anything goes. Anything goes
Anything
on this.
goes. And Gail is saying that she has your flower bouquet crochet bracelet bead kit that she never finished. So she's
Oh, so
really
she
glad
keeps
you're
working
teaching
on
this today.
it. Yay! Yay! I'm glad I pulled this out.
Oh, and
I think
someone's
this is
asked,
just a fun.
this is
Mhm.
an interesting question. I don't know. Can I make a crochet hook thing with wire if I don't have one?
I bet you could do it with 18 gauge, or if you like twist it up like maybe 20 gauge, like 2 pieces of 20 gauge to make it a little firmer. Um, in reality, I bet you we could figure out how to do this with an awl, because
Mm,
you can kind
I
of
was
fake it.
wondering that. Yeah.
You can fake it. The crochet hook just helps because it has a hook, so it can pull it through. Um, and I'm using a 5 millimeter, which is a H
Okay. I have a
numbering
size
system.
9 here, is what I've got.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Does not
That's
matter.
great.
Yeah, this
I
is
love
like
projects like that. Does
yeah.
not matter.
I personally like bigger ones versus smaller ones. In wire crochet, like when I'm using fibers, I like the smaller heads.
Mhm.
But a bigger
So
head in wire makes it easier.
how do the numbers go? Do they go normal? Like the bigger the number, the bigger
They do. It's a weird system because the brands were kind of like a little bit different, and there was like a lettering number system, and then there's a number system, and then there's a millimeter system, and now they're kind of putting all of it together, but it is in numerical order or
Gotcha.
alphabetical order. So if yours only have, like, some of the old ones only have letters on it, like a J or an H, so the J is going to be bigger than an H.
Okay.
So I'm using an H, and it's a H-8, but also known as a 5 millimeter.
Oh, interesting.
Crochet.
Mine,
Yeah.
I think mine says a 9 or and maybe it's an I. I thought it was a
I
1.
think it's an I. It's an
Yeah.
I. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So um yours is just a tad bit bigger than mine. It's probably a 5.5 millimeter. Perfect.
Gotcha. All right.
Perfect.
And then craft wire, what gauge should I pull out for that?
26 is going to be the most friendliest, but 24 works really well and holds its shape a little bit. And I do think that when you want something to give it a little, like, we're going to be doing this in 3 strands and then braiding it together. And then it
Oh,
looks like one big thing.
okay.
Makes it a lot easier than trying to do like a big row thing of crochet. So then it adds to the beginner friendly look. This technique can also be done in necklaces, and I find when you want to do a necklace, If you're using craft wire, you definitely want 26 or maybe even 28 gauge, the thinner
Okay.
gauge, so that it gives it a little bit more flow. I have used 24, and I like the way it gives it a little bit more of, once it's braided, it gives it a little bit more of a bangle-y feel. It's not as bouncy, like the 26 is a little bouncier.
On your wrist, whereas
On your
it feels
wrist.
a little more substantial.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so 24 or 26, and like Joyce said, 26 is going to be bouncier, 24 is going to have a little more of holding its shape. That's exciting because I don't use those
thin gauge wires,
thinner gauges all that much. So
yeah, we
it's
got to find a reason.
nice to have a reason. Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is kind of divide my beads up. So if you've ever laid on your mat your beads and you've put them on there and you kind of lay them out and there's some space, because normally once you string it, they're all right next to each other. But most of the time when we're starting to lay out things, there's a little bit of space. That's actually a really good spacing for bead crochet, that little tiny bit of space that you might leave out. Because those loops of wire crochet adds length. So we want to make sure that when we are building these little
I see what you're saying. That
yeah,
you're not going to measure your beads like just touching all the way, because you're going to have those loops in there that are going to extend the length.
It's like you have like a couple of seed beads in there with it or something. You want to kind of think about it that way. Probably should flip my camera. So
all right, let's do it.
Let's do that. I just realized that'd probably be the easiest. All right.
I'll give Joyce a minute to flip down her camera, and I'm going to go ahead, and I never brought in my back camera, so I'm going to bring in my bead table camera too. I'm excited. I just pulled out, I got some beads from my cherry blossom kit that I had left over and the Wonderland kit that I had left over. And I'm not sure which ones to use yet, but I figure between the two, I'll have enough beads.
Okay, is that the right one? I think that's the right one.
And then, of course, we had some fire polish. Oh, I didn't ask you what size fire polish that you're playing.
I have 4mm and 6mm in here.
All right. So these are a little bit bigger that were in our kit. These are 7mm, but I have some of these fun rainbow beads. So maybe I'll do those instead. They're a little bit smaller.
Well, I was trying to figure out how to zoom in.
You might have to see if you can bring your camera physically down.
Yeah, that's what I just realized. Because
I think that's what I have to do on my device too. I don't think I can zoom on my, I don't know if it's a phone thing or not. But.
Yeah. Being that I'm not used to doing this one. Sorry, people.
I know Joyce, right before she jumped on, she said, "Oh, I usually do this on my computer," and it started an update like right before we went live. I was like, "Oh, that's always the way."
Always. I should have realized that.
I'll show you guys what I pulled out. Christine is asking a question. She says, "Is it okay to mix regular and big hole beads?"
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's no reason why you can't use your big hole beads in this.
Cool. That's a great question. Thank you, Christine.
Especially, yeah. Okay, I think this might work. Thanks for your patience. I should have played with this a little bit. Well, I didn't know.
That's okay. Yeah, you didn't know. Your computer was just like, we're easy going around here, right? We'll just give you a little time to get yourself settled. And in the meantime, I'll just pull out pretty beads to look at.
That's always a good.
Oh yeah, the Wonderland bead mix that I have left with these little purple flowers is looking pretty cute. That is looking pretty cute.
Okay. The only thing is now it's not giving me any room to work under. So let's try this one more time. Right here. That should do it.
I wonder if these would be good with that. I keep, you know, when you have a strand of beads that you like and you keep trying to like fit them in somewhere and then they just never seem to get in a project.
Yes, I do know that.
That's these little guys here. I've had them on my table for a while and I just think they're so cute and like I love how chunky they are. But I think they'll fit with that today. I think that'll work.
I think they'd be perfect in this, in a wire crochet.
And then I grabbed some rose gold craft wire because it was one of the colors that I realized I never had in my stash. And I just recently got it. And I think that'll be really kind of whimsical with those darker colors.
Yes.
Oh, Sandra's thinking about going rainbow with some beet soup leftovers. Yes.
Oh, that'd be beautiful. Yes.
Do it.
I'm all for the rainbow. For the rainbow. I keep hitting this. All right. Is that?
That looks good. You want me to go full screen so you can take a look and you can see? There you go.
That looks great. Okay. So like I said, when you're like doing it, make sure that you're leaving like a little bit of space for your design so that you know about what around there. You can always like add a couple extra chains and a couple little loops of wire and it's all going to come together perfectly. There's no, I don't think there's any wrong doing in this world of crochet. So I'm just throwing in beads. Since I'm doing 3 strands, I'm kind of designing them because I want to have these kind of like spread out. I want my little birdies and my sun and my flowers kind of spread out with these beads.
Oh, your birdies and you're so cute. I love them.
Yeah, they're just so adorable.
Oh yeah, they're really, really cute. And that sun is a beautiful focal. By Starlight says that she grabbed purple with rose gold too. We must be channeling the same vibe. Yep, totally.
I have my copper. I should have grabbed the rose gold, I guess.
I was thinking of copper. That's what I started with copper, going in that direction. And then I just was like, oh, and you know what? My crochet hook is rose gold. I just noticed that.
I love it.
Rose gold color. That must be what, like, in my head, that might be why I switched. Funny.
So I have little flowers, little cathedrals, little rondelles, pop in this and that in here.
And you're thinking about it as the 3 strands right now? Is that what you're doing?
Okay. I am doing it that way. Just because I kind of want to even these out. Now you don't have to. These work out really good as total bead soup. Like if you want to just throw on the beads, I've done it total bead. It works perfectly with that. I just sometimes my brain wants things with a middle and sides. And right now that's what my brain's telling me to do. So that is why I'm here.
Just going to go with it.
Yep. Thinking about it that way. And this is definitely perfect. Those leftover beads, those that you have from whatever bead kit or project that you did. Sometimes I like to use the same bead in a row. It gives a nice little texturing. So even though it's kind of, you don't have to have a even symmetrical pattern with it. Even with the randomness, I sometimes will pull out like, oh, there's 3 of those beads. I'll put them together, and it gives a neat little texture.
Gotcha.
Beads. Mm-hmm. Beads can be, if you think your bead is too small, you can always add 2 beads to a loop. I'm going to show you. So this is the, move this over. So this is the bracelet we're mimicking here.
Oh, it's so beachy. It's so pretty.
So like
when I see those blue colors together.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I can see how you put, yeah, you've got the fire polish kind of in a row.
Yeah, and a little some, and like if you have like these flowers are those button flowers, so if you have something like that, you might want to put a small bead on either side for that section and treat that as one bead when you go to do it. It kind of helps make them stand up a little bit. But you know, we have these wings. You can use just about anything in here. Drops are great. Daggers are great. They give texture. Everything can go in this.
So fun. I love stuff like that. And it's always a good time when you've got a little bead soup that you can put into a design. I also want to give a little shout out to one of our VIB group members, Kathy Davison. We did a article. Yeah, we did an article on her. I don't, all the years are blended together, so I'm not sure how long ago it was, but maybe a year or so ago, and I reshared it in today's email. So if you get our email list, if you're on our email list, you would get that article in the email. And she does crochet with the Econoflex, like I was chatting about in the beginning, and has some really beautiful examples. And you can go follow her and see where she gets her inspiration from the article. And just, a little shout out to our design community.
Exactly. I saw that and I thought, oh, that's right. I've seen some of her work. She's great.
She is so great. We love when we're able to kind of do that. We do that now and again, especially when we see someone that we're like, you keep doing all this beautiful wire crochet, and it's not something that Sarah or I really ever tackle on a video. So we'd love, we love to kind of feature you and share your work when there's a new technique that doesn't always get a lot of love from us.
Yeah.
Just because it's not in our wheelhouse,
That is the great thing. You have a wonderful group of people, of talented beaders.
We really
that
do.
Are so inspiring, especially with the when you have your design challenge kits come out and all the people that have done those. I love seeing what everybody does with the same beads, because there's like
so fun. It's just the best to be like. And I get inspired by all of you just as much as I hope that we inspire you. It's nice to have that reciprocal design inspiration from one another.
Okay. So I just did like a quick, I'm aiming for about like 5 to 6 inches laid out like that, with the spacing. Remember to make sure that it's okay that there's spacing. This is like the one time you don't have to worry about those little gaps in between your beads. It's going to be a lot.
Trying to fill everything up.
Yeah. You're just going to like put the beads in the order. And now I'm just stringing it directly to the spool. So I'm using the non-tarnished copper in the 26 today. And I'm just doing it directly to the spool. In my instructions, I do have it as like 3 feet. You need approximately 3 feet of wire per row, but it's actually a little less than that. That just gives you plenty of wire to kind of like manipulate and work, you know. That being said, I like to work off of the spool because then I don't have to pre-cut and I don't have to have any wasted wire. I could just kind of go. And so what I'm doing right now, I like to get all my stringing done now because I hate that part like a little bit more than the rest. I don't hate it. I like stringing. But I
So
find it's tedious. So I just
it,
started with 1 row and just started putting them on
okay.
in the order that I put. If you're unsure of your length, you can always just do one at a time, and then that way you can always add or subtract a little to it. But and I'm gonna
Which
just do all 3 strands though
did you
right now.
did you decide on using 24 or 26 today?
I'm on 26.
Okay. I'm going to do the same, especially since I don't have too many projects that I do on this thinner wire.
Mm-hmm. I like the feel of it, and I think it's definitely, if you haven't done wire crochet before, I think it's a little easier to manipulate. So,
And so you just
I'm
picked 1 row and you're stringing it on.
I strung on my first row and now I'm stringing on my second. I
Oh,
like
you
to
so
just
you do them all
I
on the
I
one.
personally like to get all the stringing done in one shebang because then I don't have to worry about, did I knock my pattern? Did I,
So
what did I do?
if
But you
you've
don't
got
have to.
if you laid it out in the 3, you can start with either like the top or the bottom. This way the middle ends up in the middle. Is that correct?
To be honest, you could start with the middle one.
Oh,
It
okay.
really, because we're going to be cutting them into each separate ones.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's not going to matter on that sense. But our brains work better when we know that we either started from the top or started from the bottom.
Just in
It
an
just,
organizational sense.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Of course, I am all about the free spirited beading that you do. And it's like, whatever goes, whatever goes.
I
Works
know.
for
I
us.
love when I end up with projects that are just like, just make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of how I approach creativity and all the different mediums that I work in. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I kind of came up with the name because I'm like, I'm always just sort of winging it to
Yep.
some extent. I mean, I do like to occasionally plan and things like that when I'm going to share, but my initial project was winging it, you know? Like,
Yes, exactly.
but I'm getting better at winging it on camera. I've done that a little more often recently, and just the way my schedule has been, it's just like I just haven't had as much time to plan as I had in the past. So
Mm-hmm.
got a little more used to winging it on camera.
Kind of had to.
Kind of had to. But
Yeah.
everyone's been super great and fun in the comments, and it is encouraging, and they're always like, you did great winging it, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I can do it sometimes.
Well, the thing is, like, that's kind of what we're all doing in this life anyway. So it's nice to see that other people wing it with us, you know?
Yes, totally. Becky is saying that she's got her H hook, her 26 gauge wire, and a bunch of cherry blossom beads. Awesome.
Awesome. Oh, that's good. That's going to be good together.
Yay. And Zach is saying, I love you winging it, Kristen. Thank you. Thank you.
I am throwing another thing together real quick. Because I'm going to do like a little earring with this other bead that I have here. And that's going to be on the 24 gauge so that people
It
can
has
see
a
what
little
that
bit
looks
more
like.
of a heft to it.
Yeah.
Sandra is asking, how long of a piece of wire should I cut for a necklace?
For a necklace, I would say you want around 3 times the amount. If you can work off of the spool, it would be better because then you can like this here is I have it on the spool and here, so then I'm using exactly what I need and I don't have to worry about it. But if it is easier to kind of cut them so that you can kind of make your design and work on it that way, I would say you're going to want about 3 times the length that you think you want, plus maybe about 6 inches, just so you have enough to do your tie-offs.
Yeah, and that's a lot of wire to wrangle. So that I
It
do
is.
see why it's nice to be on the spool.
Mm-hmm. Because the chain is actually makes it's like 3. You have a loop that is like 2 times the length, and then the length that has the bead. So it really is like 3 times the length that you want.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the makeup of the chain stitch.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Susan is asking, once it's all beaded together, how do you know when it's in the M? And I think she means middle, maybe?
Middle.
When it's in the M. So.
It's all beaded.
Yeah, she's wondering how do you know?
How do you know where my ends are? Okay, yeah. You kind of want to designate. Like I know that that was what I started on. Like this is my little set here, and I knew my cathedral bead is where I ended. So you kind of
so you have to make a little mental note.
A mental note, or throw in a random bead that, or like find something that you are not using, maybe an orange bead or something, and put that in. That's another way to do it when you're stringing it. Like I just mentally noted that, okay, that's my end. I know it's like, I know that this one ends in between my 2 cathedrals. This one ends after the other cathedral here. Yeah, so I made that mental note. But if you are doing it, if you want to make it a little nicer, to throw in a bead that you're not going to use. And so when you get to that orange bead, because you're not using orange, or purple because you're not using purple, whatever color you're not using at all in your project, then you know, oh, I could stop here. And guess what? When you cut your wire, you just pull that off and you won't have it in your piece. It's not going to, you're not going to be including it in your piece. It just is like a place marker. You could maybe put like bead stoppers there too.
Yeah,
but
I like
that might get a little
of a place marker, or where it's totally different and you discard it, or maybe there's a particular bead that you only add at like the start and stop of your,
exactly,
you know, like you were saying, the cathedral for you.
Yeah. Which, you know what? How do you separate? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this last row off real quick because it's not that many beads, and I'm going to put a random bead on there that is not in here so that you can kind of see what that looks like when we're beading. Okay, this huge heart is definitely not going in it. So we're going to put this huge heart. It doesn't have to be a big thing. That's just is what's on my beading table behind me. And so I'm going to put this huge heart as my divider. And you'll see, because you can totally get on a roll and crochet this up, and then all of a sudden you're like, in
Oh,
a
wait a
total
minute.
different. Yeah.
I went too far.
I went too far on that.
Yeah. So having something that sort of stops you in your tracks, like that big heart
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't quite go with
That
it,
does not go at all with this.
that you're
So.
just like, oh. Sam is listening to us while he works. Hi, Sam.
That is so awesome.
I like to do that too. I like to watch my beading friends in the background while I'm working.
Absolutely. So I have no idea. I think I've changed my pattern, but I'm not going to worry about it because when it's all put together, it's going to look great. So
I kind of
if you
usually
realize that
pattern, and I think that I'll probably deviate from it of some sort
at
here.
some point.
All
right. And that's the beauty. That's the beauty. I mean, that is one benefit of like actually pre-cutting the wire is that like if you didn't like if you're crocheting, because these are the beads that I put on first for this row, but these are the beads that I'm going to crochet first. So that is an interesting concept that we don't always think of. So I'm going to be the last beads that you put on your spool normally is what you start crocheting with. Now, if you pre-cut it, you could start it on either end. But if you're, get this all. But if you are doing it on the spool like me, that means this is where I start. So if I pre-cut it and I thought, oh, well, I really need more of these flowers or something, I can take these beads off, slide these beads off and put on new ones. This is not necessarily forgiving enough that if you make a mistake, you can undo it. The wire is going to be so crinkly that you're going to just want to start with a new, fresh piece of wire. But a lot of times you can undo it and the beads are still strung on, and then you just move the wire down from the spool.
Yeah, so I think helps. Since it's my first time, I'm just gonna wing it, and I'm not gonna pre-plan a whole lot and just see what happens, because I have a feeling once I do it once, I'll have a better idea the next time how I might want to plan something out a little bit differently.
I say bead soup is the best way to do it the first time around. They still look fabulous. So. All right, so we are going to get in this. So like I said, I have a 5mm, an H8 5mm hook. It's kind of like a medium size. There's a bunch bigger and a bunch smaller. I find that this is a really good size hook to do. Like from this to about a 6mm tends to be what I use. I don't usually go smaller. A lot of times you go smaller because this is so thin, but wire has a firmness that is different than what you would do with fiber. So you kind of need it to be bigger, or you're going to end up making everything too small, and it's just going to be harder with the wire. You can play with it though once you get going, but this is definitely more user friendly. We have to start with a slip knot.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
Susan is asking, how much wire do you leave after a row? So I'm thinking, are you thinking, Susan, that you're cutting it off the spool and you're asking how much wire to have? Because in that case, I think what you were saying, Joyce, was 3 times. So if you were looking to make a 7-inch strand, you multiply that by 3.
Yeah. And so we usually just kind of make it easy and just say 3 feet on the, but yet you definitely probably only need about 2.5. But I usually just do about 3. So if you want to cut it, make them 3 for a bracelet. If you're doing a necklace, do 3 times the length that you want for your necklace, and then add about 6 inches. The 6 inches is going to give you like your tails that you're going to be using to attach your clasp.
Okay.
So that, yeah, that should do it. Or leave it on the spool, and that works too. But it's nice to know the number just in case if you're like kind of running low on a spool, you can go, oh, I do have enough.
Right, right.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to start with a slip knot, and we're doing it. We're going to try to aim it to be about 3 to 4 inches from one end. What that entails is kind of making a loop, and the tail end of the loop is going in front of the baseline of the loop. So they cross over. And then this wire goes behind the loop. So we have this kind of like a loop with a tail going behind. And the hook is going to go over the side. It's going to catch that tail that we put behind it. We're going to grab it. We're just putting our hook right under it. And the loop itself is going to be behind the hook. When you go to grab, you're going to grab the tail and the working at the same time and pull. And that's going to tighten that loop into a little knot and then give a huge loop around the hook. And we're just going to pull that down until it's just like barely around the hook. Does that make, I'll show that one more time. Pull that out though. So you want to make a loop, put it behind, grab, so you're gonna, the tail goes behind the loop that we made, and then the hook goes on top of the hook, the loop, and under the tail. Grab the tail and the working and pull, and that gives you your little starter slip knot. That makes sense?
Yeah, that I'm glad you showed it again because I did do it slightly differently the first time because I was looking at you and then down at my mat. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
so it was nice to see it for a second time.
Yeah. So typically you're going to either hold your hook with your, this little flat part is where the thumb usually goes, and people either use it like how they hold a knife or how they hold a pencil. It really doesn't matter which way you do it. You can hold it either way, whatever's comfortable. Some people like to hold it this way. Other people like to hold it this way. I tend to hold it this way. I don't know why that's the way that works for me. But you usually hold it at that little flat part on your crochet hook. You're going to try to keep your tail down and your wire to the side. Right now, we're not going to use our beads. We're going to just use the wire like 1 or 2 times here. And we're going to make our first little chain. And what that does is, now you could do this if you're a crocheter, you kind of naturally bring your hook around and you grab it. But when I first start teaching this, I like, since it's wire, it's a lot easier to just kind of take the wire and bring it up and around the hook. So now there's like 2 around the hook. And if you notice, I keep it way over here by my thumb spot, not by the hook. It tapers at the hook, and a lot of times things slip off because it tapers. So by putting it way over here to start with, it allows the wire to be about the same size. It also keeps it on the hook more, and it just makes it overall easier. Once it's over that, you're going to hold on. You want to, underneath here, you want to hold on to the tail. You kind of want to also hold on to that wire that is going over. And then because we have our hook here,
Oh, just
get
come
to the
down.
hook.
There you go. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
There you go.
You're going to come down. And so I'm catching the hook. You see how my hook is upwards? And then when I get close, we're going to use this hook to bring this wire through this wire loop. So this wire loop is going to go into that one. And what you do to do that is that once it's up close to the hook part of the crochet hook, then you're going to turn it downwards and pull it through. I'm going to show that again. And then I push it back up to where my thumb is. So it's now you only need to make about 3 of these. Don't go much more than that. I'm going to make a bunch more just because I want to show people a little slower and make sure you understand the process here. So it goes over the hook, grab hold of the previous chain that you made and the new wire, bring it, and once I get it to where the wire's in the hook, I'm going to lower the hook so it's downwards to pull it through the loop. Again, wrap over the hook. When it gets caught into the hook, the wire's caught in the hook, you twist the hook downwards and through the hook. I'll do that one more time so you can see, and then we're going to add a bead around the hook. Get close, pull through. And you might want to try the different ways of holding. Try like one, if you're new to this, try one whole length with one way, and then maybe try the other way. You're going to find one way is going to work best for you than the other. Because of the way my mount is for my phone so that I could do this, I think I'm going to actually switch to the pencil hold because I think it's going to work better for doing this. But normally I do it the other way. It just, I have to wrap my arms crazily around the phone mount, and I don't think that works for me. All right, so the next thing is we're going to start adding a bead. Are you ready to add a bead, Kristen?
I think so.
Okay. Did you make a couple of these? Did you make a couple plain ones?
Well, yeah, I cut off and started again.
That's perfect. Not a problem. Not a
That's
problem.
what you do in the beginning. You have
exactly. Mm-hmm. For sure. Okay, so when you bring a bead down, you're just going to slide the bead so it's underneath the hook and it's up against the chain that we just had. And then you do your wrap over and you pull through. And voila, it's there. It's caught in
goodness.
that. Yeah. I will on occasion pinch those little loops a little tighter behind so that it makes that bead pop. Sometimes it likes to pop into that chain stitch. Now, right now I'm only doing, I'm doing these 6 millimeters, and since this is a 5 millimeter hook and wire is kind of loosey, it works perfect for it. When you are doing smaller ones, it works pretty good with the smaller size too. But when I get to this larger one, we're going to have to pull this hook. So if you have a large bead next, you might want to wait until I get to the bird to really see what you have to do.
Gotcha.
But you definitely want to just kind of keep going if you can. So we're just making sure our loop is about the size of our hook here. Bring a bead down so it's underneath the hook. Bring the loop around the hook. Hold on. Twist that hook in and get it through that loop, and voila, we're down, ready for the next one.
So one thing that I'm coming up against that I'm noticing is that when I'm trying to get my hook through that loop, it's sometimes a little too tight. And so I just grabbed like a little plier to help me along. But maybe I'm pulling something too tight to begin with.
You might be doing it a little tight. So another thing is that if it seems like it's too tight, bring the loop and go over your thumb, that thumb part of the hook.
Yes.
And
Okay.
see, and that will loosen that up again. And so then when you go and you bring this across,
I've created a
I,
little more space so I'm not so,
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah. And then when you go, try not to, like when you're holding these, you're holding it, but you're not holding it like tightly. You're just kind of like letting
Trying to
the
be
wire slide.
gentle in there.
Hmm. When you get more in, further on and more used to this practice, you can kind of adjust your tension and you'll find, and it might be that you want to go and find even a larger hook, or you might want to find a smaller hook. Everybody's a little bit different, but I find that just moving it over the, making sure that you move over that thumb print part holder
Opens
of
it up.
the hook, it helps.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
then you're welcome. So then here's my bigger bead. So when I get to the bigger bead, what you're going to want to, when you get two beads that are bigger than like your 4 to 6 millimeter size, that most of the time the loop that is being made is perfect for, you have to pull this loop out. That's the other thing. You can always pull this
Make it
loop
even a
out a
little
little
bit
bit.
larger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now I'm making it as large as my bird, basically. I want it to be as long as the bird is. My bird's upside down, but that's okay. It's going to work. And then around the loop and through. And those should just go on one side. What's really cool about this is kind of makes sure that if you have a true front, like I like this side better than the other side, you definitely want to make sure the side that you want facing upwards is on that side, and that this will be kind of like the bottom of it because you have the wire loop. I still think that looks really cool with the wire around it too. So you could expose the side depending on how you like the look of it. And then you just keep going until you got this at the end. We're going to just kind of keep going with our loops here.
Going back to that little
Okay.
thumb part is helpful for me. So
Oh,
when I get
good.
a little too tight, I just kind of slide it back and
Slide it back over there.
let that larger space happen.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Don't be afraid to do two beads at once. You could do these, like I could do these two fire polish, the 4 millimeter fire polish as a separate, or I can use them together and make them as one. And it kind of gives another texturing look to it. So combine beads if you want.
Sam is asking, Joyce, how do you keep your creative ideas so fresh?
Gosh.
Good question, Sam.
That is a really good question, Sam. A lot, God, different ways. I tend to be very like themed, inspired sometimes. So like nature or, so I'll look at flowers and gardens and whatnot for like color things. And sometimes the shapes kind of will add to my designing. But then I also, my sister and I really throw ideas off of each other. I mean, that's what really kept us going for so many years at our shop, is that her and I would just like throw things at each other. She'll go, "Oh, we got this new bead. I want earrings," and she'll hand them to me, and then I have to make earrings. But if I grab these beads, I might have gone, "Oh, what should I do as a necklace?" So us working together as like, okay, we haven't done earrings for a while. We need to do earrings, or we've been doing earrings too many times. We need to do a necklace. Having somebody else to kind of help me do that really helps. But I don't know. The beads talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
Beads talk to me.
So that's the bottom line, huh? The beads
The
are in
bottom line.
charge.
Yeah. When I go get new beads, you know, when all else fails, go shopping for new beads or go go find those hidden beads that you've had for a while and look at them in a new perspective. You know, like don't think of like, why did I get these? Oh, I thought I was going to do earrings. Well, I didn't do earrings. Well, can they make a necklace out of it? How would I make a necklace out of these beads? Kind of is like how I go approach things sometimes.
Give them a
Try to look.
fresh
Mm-hmm.
look.
I also will sometimes throw a whole bunch of beads on my mat for thinking I'm doing like 3 projects, and then I find that I like beads. I find combinations that I don't realize I like because I'm thinking, so all my little leftovers that have been sitting on my bench because I'm done with this or that, I go, all of a sudden I go, ooh, those look good together. I'm going to make this with it now. But the fact that I like all kinds of beading with wire, stringing, bead weaving, that really helps. Like, I think having a variety of ways of being able to bead up your beads, like have techniques behind you, like learn as many techniques as possible. You don't have to be good at them.
Sam says, "Ha, stumped her."
You did. You totally stumped me.
It's always questions like that, though, that are so interesting to hear your thought process in how you respond and what kind of comes to mind the more you think about it.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, and I never really thought about like, what would I do? How do I do? I don't know what I do. I just talk to the bead. All right. I came up to my heart, so I know that I am done.
Oh, cool. I stopped even thinking about that, so it's nice that you even mentioned it.
So you need to make, so did you get about, I don't know, about 5 inches, 6 inches?
Oh boy, I've got not quite there. I'm about 4.5, so almost.
All right.
Pretty
Almost.
getting there. Almost. Jessica is
Absolutely
asking.
could.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you saw it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just that. Absolutely can be done in seed beads. When I will add seed beads to these kind of things, but my original ones, I would just do either fire polish or seed beads, and I would use like size 8 and size 6 more often, just because they're bigger and user friendly that way. I tend to make them in groups of 2s or 3s for each one. So like this, where I put 2 fire polish right there, I would either do 2 or 3 seed beads. Might want to use a slightly smaller hook if you're into a size 11s. Those 11s are going to like flip into the chain stitch a little bit more. So I would say go down a size hook, maybe do like a 4mm hook or a 3.5.
So good.
Let's knock things down.
Oh, Susan is wondering what your small flowers are called. Are those some of your new beads you were talking
These
about?
ones right here? Yes, these are cactus flowers.
Oh, they are? I love that. So are they on your Etsy shop yet, or are they still being put up?
They're still being put up. I think I have 4 colors that we just got in. So, and this is one of them. They are, I love them. I have a dandelion yellow that is just so spectacular, and I actually made little dandelion earrings with them.
That sounds
so
adorable.
they totally look like little dandelions. But yeah, these are cactus.
Super cool.
And these are the table cut. There are some that are not table cut.
Winnie can't wait to try this. Yay. I know. I'm going to tell you guys, just be kind and patient with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I am torturing my wire a little, but the more I go, the more comfortable it's feeling.
Mm-hmm.
so,
Yes. You do
so
have to do
just
quite a bit to really be comfortable, because you usually hold our wire a little harder, and so it almost mangles it a little bit, and so we are a little harder. So we want to be a lighter touch than we think we need.
Yeah. And that's something I learned, when we were working with our friend James here too, because he was our main wire person. And
Mm-hmm.
I realized watching his videos, I was like, oh, you're so much more patient and you work a lot slower, like, and more mindfully than I would tend to do. And it's like that is kind of a key when you're working with more of the hard wire, is to be a little softer than you normally would.
Yeah. And I mean, there's moments in wire work that you do have to pull and hold harder. And so I think because of that, when we go into something like this that needs a lighter touch, it's harder to remember. Because
Yeah.
when you're making like loops for linking earrings and
True.
necklaces
In
and
that
bracelets,
case, you want it to
you
really
tend to
be,
like really
yeah.
pull at it. So we're not holding as tight. All right, so since I'm at this heart, I am going to cut about 4 inches and then
Okay.
pulling that heart off. Now let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready. I'm glad we
Okay.
got to that point where we can
Yeah.
see how you just pop it off and cut that
Yep.
heart.
Cut that heart off. Now this is my still strung on to my spool. These
Mm-hmm.
are just kind of like moving on down as I went. I am going to make sure that I don't lose it by just kind of curling up a really messy whatever. I don't care. I'm going to cut this off later so that the beads don't slide off in the process, because I don't know, I knock things over. It's going to have that problem.
So we're putting the spool aside for a second. So
For a
just do
second.
something to make sure your beads stay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then now I am going to, I just realized I might have done.
What happened?
I was supposed to put the heart here at this cathedral, and I picked the wrong cathedral, and I'm like, wait a second, that doesn't look, it looks like a
Oh,
lot
look at
longer.
that.
Yeah, so I am going to pull this off, and I'm going to show you how to pull this off. This gives you a look into it, because one with the regular fiber, you could just pull this and it works, but guess what? In wire, it's not as easy. So you just kind of want to get in the right position here. I want to flip that loop off.
Sam says that giggle made my day. I know, wasn't it? It was so cute. It was like, oopsie.
Oopsie. Do what I say, not what I do. No. We're just gonna go, that's the whole point. This is great. See, I love it when I mess up like this, because then you can figure it out. You could definitely use 24 gauge wire. Yes. It's going to be a little stiffer, which will give a really cool bangly look feel to a bracelet. These are going to have to go on to my other thing.
Jessica,
But
yeah, trying it with soft flex beading wire will be fun too.
Absolutely. Get some color in there. Love it. All right, so that's where I was supposed to end. Haha. Okay. Put this back on, and I'm going to, since I'm not going to do as many as I have here. I always like to end with 1 or 2 regular without a.
Just come a little bit closer to
Oh,
you.
yeah. I'm sorry. I got bumped.
No, that's okay.
Wait.
So you're just ending with no beads, same kind of idea on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Without beads the same way, like 2 of them. And then on the last one, to finish, when I wrap around and then go through, normally we stop it at the hook is there. We're going to actually just continue pulling on the hook and bring that wire all the way through. And that just wraps around neatly around that end. And that's all you have to do to end it. So just pull that wire all the way through. And then we're ready to do the next. After I get my beads back on. Oops.
So I should let everybody know, I didn't say it in the beginning, but at softflexcompany.com, we are doing we're doing 15% off the whole tool category. So anything, we don't sell crochet hooks, but if you need any other pliers or cutters, crimping pliers, bead stoppers, all of that good stuff, wig jigs and knitting spools and macrame boards, all of that is currently on sale until tomorrow, April 18th at midnight Pacific time.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, we don't do a tool sale
often, no.
Yeah, it's a rarity to do a tool sale, and we always need tools, right?
Always. And I always want another set to either travel with or to just tired of mine or something. I don't know. I love tools.
Tools get the job done, that's for sure.
Oh, I just started doing this. Do I need to show how I started it again?
You basically picked up your spool and started the same way we started the first time, right?
Yep. That's all we're going to do. So we're going to do our loop, go behind the loop, grab our hook, go over the loop, but grab that tail that we went behind. Grab the tail and the working together. Pull that up. Again, if it gets too small, bring it over the thumb part of the hook. Wrap the wire over. Pull through. Do a couple without beads. You only need about 2. And then you start.
And then when you add that bead, you're adding that bead towards the back, and then you're wrapping it over.
Yep. So you let that bead slide down. It's going to go under the hook. Wrap the wire over again. So that should be hanging out below. And then you're going to pull this through. And if you notice, I keep it upwards. I don't turn this right away. I know some crocheters that do right away, but sometimes you don't hook that wire because of the way the wire is so thin and stuff. It just sometimes gets missed and you go right through it. So by keeping it upwards, then I know that I caught the wire, then rotate the hook downwards to go through the loop. It makes it easier to make sure that you have caught the wire. Bring another bead down underneath, bring the loop around, bring it down, bead down, wrap around, pull, twist the hook downwards and back up. I also, after I go through the hoop with my wire, I like to rotate my hook upwards again because sometimes when I keep it this way, it wants to just slide right off. So if I rotate that hook up upwards, then if I accidentally pull too much, it still stays on because the hook catches it instead of coming right off. Once you get going, this is not bad.
Is anyone crocheting along with us today? How are you guys doing?
Don't forget to pull this to be the same size. So when they're long beads like this, you got to pull that loop outward. Yeah, who is crying crocheting today with us?
This is so much more fun than being on my computer. I have been having
Yes.
I have been having so much wrist pain lately on my. It's been really tough. In the past, I've had it like occasionally, and I might have a little kind of carpal tunnel-y feeling on my wrist, and for a day or two, and then it kind of like goes away. But for some reason, it's been like 2 weeks of every day bothering me.
Oh, wow.
I am not enjoying that. And I'm kind of looking forward to going to this craft conference this week because I'm hoping having an extended time not on the computer is going to help.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure.
I did buy like an ergonomic mouse somewhat recently. And I thought it would be helpful, but I'm wondering if I'm not, like I'm in a weird position or something now, and it's making it worse. So,
that could be if that's the most recent, change.
Yeah, I think I changed in February. I'm trying to remember when. Yeah, I think it was when around Tucson time. So, it does feel like it's worse now than ever. And I'm wondering if that was, even though I made the change hoping it was a good thing, maybe it's just not agreeing with me. And I might have to try something else, go back to what I was using before. But yeah, it's no good when you do a lot of computer work.
No, not at
Kathy
all.
said she's definitely going to be trying this later. She's watching it now to get the idea first. It looks like a lot of fun. Oh, a couple people are going along with us.
Yay.
Becky's crocheting with us. Jessica's picking out some beads. Becky's got 2 strands done. Go, Becky.
Woo! Go, Becky. Love it.
Sandra has her strand coming along nicely. Zach is doing it with us too. Oh, Leslie in the UK is trying it for the first time along with us.
Yay.
Oh my gosh. Christine said once she got past the first part, she's doing great. Now she's having a blast. And
that is the key. Getting past that first.
I know. Susan's wondering, are some of your loops intended to be larger than the beads?
I do like to make my loops a little bit larger so that I can make sure that they kind of like sit in the back. I want them to be kind of as long as the beads at least so that they flatten. If you don't do it as long as the bead, what happens is they kind of makes these kind of beads stick outwards, and I want them to lay flat. But yeah,
good question. And Winnie is asking, do the chains you make at the end keep their shape?
They can, but you can also mush them because it is only 26 gauge. So those are going to end up going in some cones, and you're not really going to see it in this case. In necklaces, sometimes I will do do the rest of it just blank chain, and they do hold up their shape pretty well.
Oh, yeah, that sounds pretty on a necklace to have just the
Mm-hmm.
chain kind of going back a little ways.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't always put all the beads all the way up on a necklace. So I did a couple more, and then remember when we cut, we're going to just cut about 3 to 4 inches. And when you go to
Yeah, Leslie is saying it's a
wire,
little tougher on her fingers than crocheting yarn.
oh yes,
I could imagine that.
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Especially when you're used to it, you have to hold it differently.
I am thinking about getting a brace. Someone said maybe I could get a brace. I have one in my cart waiting to be purchased. I was just giving myself some time because it usually doesn't last that long. I've been doing little exercises for my hand and my wrist. So I have been doing that as well to kind of release the tension. But thank you guys for all the good suggestions. I have a feeling
I would.
My new mouse.
Could be. It could be. Does it hurt extra when you use it? Then it might be.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like right now it's just hurting all the time.
All the time, yeah.
I feel like I've gotten to the point where, when you aggravate something and it's just like, it's a little extra, it's just aggravated right now. It's just very. So yeah, hopefully a little break next week will take it down a little bit.
Yep. I have, I would say you're not in California. I'm like all my stuff, because we have had a colder, wetter winter than we normally have. All of my achy parts of my body have been extra this last couple months than it's ever been.
Yeah, that does that.
But you're not over here.
I'm not. I'm pretty dry over here.
Yeah. So I'm starting my third one the same way. Now you're just going to try to aim each of these to be about the same size. They don't have to be perfectly the same lengths of the crochet part lengths. But close. Just try to get close. So I noticed that the middle one, I designed that one a little bit too long. So I'm going to be taking off some beads. So we're going to talk about taking off beads.
Cool.
When we're done with it. Oops, even I can miss the target here.
I have one of those little tens machines, so that's been helping. I don't know if anyone's used those
before,
but they help for your aches and pains. I've just been I feel like once a year I have some part of me that's just like, I don't want to work anymore. It's either a back or a hip. Now it's a wrist. It's like the universe is reminding me to take care of myself, I guess.
Yeah. Important.
Yeah, this is super fun.
What's really cool is this is one of those things when you're once you're like really comfortable with this, you can load up those beads and sit, and this could be a project that you're doing. I don't know. A lot of us people that make things and create things need to keep our hands busy. So watching TV, just watching TV is kind of hard. So when the family wants to put on a movie, I got to like have something going on in my hands. So this is a great project for that, because you don't really, once you get going, you don't have to totally be looking at it.
Right. Yeah. Kathy is asking, if you wanted to crochet the chain for the rest of the necklace, could you flatten and work harden it so it would retain the shape when hanging?
I think the wire is might be too thin to really hold its shape. Like the loops are gonna stay. You would get like, you would actually have to kind of pull really hard or mush them to like not be hold its like loops, the chain loops. I would be afraid that you might overwork the thin wire with too much hammering, so you want to do it very lightly. Do it like less.
I was thinking that too, with this thin of a gauge, that if you like, you could easily snap it. So that's why you want to work really softly with it, and work hardening it at the end might be a bit tough. But like everything, give it a try. I would always
absolutely
give something a try like that a try and see how it fares for you.
And if you really, I mean, this technique can be used with bigger gauges. So the 24 gauge might be better if you really want it to have more of a hold. You might even be able to play with 22. I would say if you're doing 22, you might want to go up a hook size, just because what I find with the thicker gauge wires, that's part of the reason why it's nice to have the larger hooks for this, I find, is because of the fact that it just gives a more solid hook to be able to manipulate the wire in and out. If it's too thin of a hook for the gauge wire, it doesn't always, like, you can't pull it through, can't bring the wire over and pull through the loop as easily, because it's like not a stiff enough, solid enough hook. So that's the part that would be worried about doing with the thicker gauge wires. Once I'm done with this one, cutting off the end, yarn over or wire over and pull all the way through so that it just suits that. And now I have my 3.
Woohoo! Stephanie says, now that I've gotten better at crocheting, I need to make another one of these. Yeah, give this technique a try again if you've shelved it, now that you've done some more crocheting. Becky says, this is definitely a fidget skill.
Yep, it is.
And Terry says, do you sleep with a support? She finds that otherwise her wrists do dumb things overnight. It's funny you say that, Terry. I think I am messing with it at night, because I woke up, not this morning, but yesterday morning, and I was like, oh man, I slept on this like in a really weird position, and it was bothering me from that. So maybe I'm doing something at night that's actually bothering it. That could very well be. So when I get myself a splint, I might have to try sleeping with it and see if that's where the problem's coming in too. Good point.
Yeah. I know that's half of my problem sometimes is with my shoulder, is the fact that I will all of a sudden be in a position. I'm like, that's not how I fell asleep in, but that's how I woke up in. So now I'm hurting.
Yeah. So that could be what I clearly noticed it the other day, that I woke up and I had my wrist in a really awkward position and I was like leaning on it. So maybe that's part of my problem. Jessica thinks hammering it will make it brittle. Yeah, it
Yeah,
might. It might
yeah.
be a little too thin for it.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing. There's like this cross between work hardening and turning it brittle. Like there's this like fine line right into that like perfect work hardened and to brittle thing. And you gotta play with that to find the right thing. And with the thinner gauge wires, it's so much easier to turn it into brittle because there's not that much wire to work with. I am going to take a couple beads off of this side so that it is even. So, you know, in a perfect world, I probably would have like tried to get my things more even, but I don't care about that. I know that I can undo this loop here and just carefully undo these wires.
I decided to just forego making the 3, and I'm just kind of making one really long one so that I can get
Ah,
extra comfortable with the process.
I like that.
So I don't know if this will become anything or not, or if this is just a practice piece, but yeah, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna keep going.
There is nothing wrong with just having a practice piece.
Yeah.
Get
Something totally
comfortable
new.
with it. So one side is going to be easier to take out than the other, just so that people know, because of the way so this is the beginning side, so it has to get pulled, like the wire does have to get pulled out of the loop to be able to remove them. But then once I've gotten there, I could just kind of pop it back in and pretend that I'm on the correct side and do a couple of non-bead loops so that they match up with the other. And it doesn't matter. And then we're ready to hook them together and turn them into a piece. You want to have some kind of bead cap or cord end works like the best, but you can always wire around it too, and then make your own, like use thicker gauge and make your own cones with wire. That is a fun look. Or
Yeah,
you can even
I always like that hand coned look. I feel like that's kind of fun.
we are going to take these 3 here, gather them up. I like to just start twisting them together because it's easier for me. And then I take 2 that kind of naturally want to be by themselves together and use those 2 and wrap around the one and finish up. Just wrap around a few times and cut off the extra so that I'm just left with one wire. We have these cones and a lot of different finishes up on, or they're not cones, these are cord ends. Anything, a chair cast makes some great cones,
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
you
we've
have
got some good
some.
cones. I think we've got some hammered cones and then some little spiral cones. We also have the really large end caps. So if you had, I mean, these kind of come down pretty small, so you don't need anything too big. But if you had more strands that you were trying to put together.
Yeah. So you just want to kind of like tame the beads a little bit and get those inside a cone. So I'm showing that's what it looks like with a tapered cone. And then, see, I have too much here. So when I have for this cone, these are shorter cord ends. And so
Oh, you know
that's
what
going
I
to
should
show a lot.
mention? Who was it? Was it Kathy was asking about the end pieces? If you use a draw plate, you might be able to tighten up the ends that way. So if you've got a lot of
Yeah.
wire that you crocheted for the back part of the necklace, if you have a draw plate, what that will do is pull the wire through the holes and just kind of compress it and tighten it up. And how you work that is you go through the largest hole first, and then you gradually go down smaller and smaller until you're happy with the size. Instead of hammering and work hardening, I think that would be a way
that would probably be better, and it'll give it what's nice with the draw plate, like I know for the like Viking knit and that type of wire weaving, it makes it more
compressed. It like really
yeah, but it also gives kind of like a solidness yet flowiness to it. It's like a weird process, but I don't know how to explain it actually. Now that I say it, now I'm trying to say it.
Yeah, I have I have a design somewhere that would show it perfectly, but where it is, it's not.
Where is it?
Not anywhere near me at the moment that I can see.
So I just wrapped around itself a few times to make that shorter and kind of like a chunkier thing, and then pulled the wire up through the middle so that this now can get pulled over all those little wire bits. And you can either make your loop right now, or I like to add a smaller bead at the other side of the cone or cord end to make it a little fancier. And then you want your round nose pliers, which I apparently did not bring over here.
Where did those round nose pliers run off to?
Exactly. I keep picking up chain nose pliers. That's not helpful.
Sharon is asking, if it is long, can you just put a clasp on each side and make it a wrap bracelet? I think absolutely. You can. Yeah. Definitely. Let me see if mine goes around enough times to make sense. Not quite, because it's kind of a weird size, but I think mine's long enough to be a necklace, actually. Let me see what that looks like a short necklace. Oh yeah, I have enough wire here to make, I think, to make a necklace.
Now I like to do a little wrappy-do here on around my decorative bead that I put on this other side. It kind of adds to the look of the, mimics the look of the crochet. If I bring the wire to the side of the bead, wrap between the bead and the cone or cord end, and then come back and wrap it around the other side and back onto my wire wrap, and then I have like kind of like a little frame of wire around the bead up here. So I did not grab a clasp. I would normally hook it directly to the clasp or use a jump ring, either way. So jump ring is where it's at today, because I'm going to need to find a clasp for this. In our instructions, if you end up finding those instructions, I meant to mention those flower bouquet crochet bracelet instructions that I showed earlier. Those are in our files on our Just Bead It Happy Beaders group. So you'll be able to find them there.
Awesome.
In a PDF form, yeah.
We were thinking about putting them in our blog that we do after as well.
Perfect. Yeah, add it there, and then you can find it there too.
But if you want it today, go get it. The Just Bead,
exactly.
It won't be up there for a couple of days on our blog.
Yeah, exactly. So that gives you like that little bit of wire around it that mimics the wire that's around on the crochet. So I think it just adds a nice little look. And then before I do the other side, I like to kind of loosely braid these. Sometimes I will do a piece and I find I have to do a tight braid for it to mesh well, and sometimes I need to do a very loose braid. Your beads are going to tell you whether it's a loose braid or a tight braid. Or you may not braid it at all, but if you want it to look more like the bouquet flower, the flower bouquet ones, we kind of braid it so that it looks like one whole piece.
Right. So you can't tell as much that it's 3 strands separate. It looks like it kind of all goes together.
Yeah. So it gives it a little more oomph to it.
So Sandra is asking, is it possible to add on wire to work in progress if it ends up being too short?
That is a fabulous question. Yes. And no. But yes. So what you would want to do is you're going to want to like not do it on a, you're going to want to take, if you did the what is that, crochet without the beads, the chain stitch without the beads, you're going to want to undo those ones without beads. We're going to get that undone here and undo all those loops. Actually,
I found my draw plate and I'm just working it on one side, and I'm going to see how it does.
Oh, good.
And I'll share with
good.
you guys, just in case that's like a look you're looking for. Oh, and you do have to be careful because I just broke my wire pulling it through, because it is a very thin gauge of wire. So at least I broke it in not a bad place, but you have to be gentle.
All right. So what I would do is at the base, like if you're going to add a new wire, I would take so I'd end after a bead. Take the next one that you're wanting to add. And bring that wire around and kind of wrap it a couple times. Try to wrap it behind the bead, because if you wrap don't wrap too many times, just like maybe once or twice, and leave a tail. Don't cut it yet. And then you're going to, for a little while, this is the tail here. It's usually wouldn't be this long, so we're gonna take some of this off here. And then this is the new wire, and then this is the tail. So you're gonna wrap around maybe a couple times, just hold it in place, and then you're going to treat So I'm putting the hook behind the bead here because I want to kind of catch these wires. So this is the tail, the old tail, and the new working. And behind the bead here, I'm going to bring both of these as one. You're going to treat those two as one for a while, just to kind of give you so that it's woven into the loops. So then it's flew. So it's going to have like a double wire right there for just, and we're going to pretend I have a bead. You'd slide your bead down, your next one, and slide your bead down. So for like 2 or 3 links, you're going to have a double wire, and then you'll go back to your single wire and do it with a single wire. And of course, you're doing this with beads. I didn't have any beads just strung on. But now that I have it doubled wire here and then singled wire, and we got the beads on it, would have beads on it. Now you have a good spot that it has been joined. So then you can take and just wrap those, maybe coil that tail in around 1 or 2 times there and cut it off. But I could even just cut them off right where I'm at right now. And because we did a few loops with it doubled here, we're strong. So that's how you would connect it so that it's nice and strong. And so you're just going to have this little extra double wire for like 2 to 4 loops. Does that make sense? I hope that made sense.
Yeah, Sandra says, sweet, I can do that. Thank you so much. I like that you said that, Sandra, because in my mind, I was thinking, I'm just going to work off the spool.
It is. It's great to work off the spool. And here's the thing, because then you can, working off the spool allows you to make the length that you kind of want. You do have to, like, if you didn't add enough beads, you're going to have to figure out how to
add more beads on
add more beads. So you might have to cut, but like if you just overpile beads, especially if you're doing like a bead soup without a real pattern, you can just overpile beads on it and then just crochet until you're done with,
right.
Yeah, but there's perks to both things. So
and there's times where you're going to need that. You're going to need to know how to do that. So creating that, kind of adding it and then treating the two as one is a good technique to know. Have in your back pocket, because there's always times where something like that is needed.
So I'm just going to take these two together and I'm going back to my bracelet. I cut off that little added thing. I have an extra wire in there, but I don't care. I'm going to take these 2 wires and wrap it around the single wire. And then cut it off. Get my cord in. Push that cord in over my big old tingly. Smush down that, either unwrap a little if you put too much or smush it down to get it in there. That's the beauty about the wire. It's a little bit malleable, so you can kind of make it work. bead. I have to undo this wire, I see. Well, that's getting...
This was so fun to learn something entirely new today. I have wanted to learn how to do this for a long time.
I am so happy. I'm glad I decided that this was a good choice.
I know.
I was like, oh, what do I want to do? This is a fallback, though, I have to say. Like, I forget that I love it so much until I actually do it, and then I do it for a while. And then but it's a good little fallback of what to do with beads that are left on your mat.
I was going to say, being that I'm traveling soon, this is a really fun and easy thing to travel with, because you can load up beads ahead of time, even if you wanted to, and then just throw your spool with your beads on it in your bag and your crochet needle, and then to work.
Absolutely.
It's kind of an easy one to start and stop, I would think, too, if you
had to. Yes. Yeah. You don't really, it's easy to start and stop this because there's no real start or stop. Some projects you kind of get lost when you stop it, and then you let it sit there for about 10 years. You don't want to start it again.
Which brings us back to Finish It Fridays.
Exactly. I mean, I literally have projects that are that old. I just finished a loom project in December. I was sitting there for, I would say, probably a good 18, 19 years, because I did not want to do all the finishes. But now there's so many new little ends that make looming easier that I'm like, I can finish it now.
You were just waiting for the right things to come along.
Exactly. All right, I am done. I just need some jump rings and a clasp.
Awesome.
In our original one, we did what is that? A lobster with a little chain to make it adjustable if you're to make it easier for things. But you could just put on a regular clasp. And when I do the adjustables, I always like to make a little charm with some of the extra beads. So that's what I did
pieces.
There.
Yes, I love it. It's beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. So, so pretty.
And make sure you wrap your wire around it also, so it looks like the
rest of the crochet. Sandra says 10 years, laugh out loud. Sadly true sometimes. I want to show you, someone was asking what a draw plate is. So this is a draw plate. This is the one we have at Softflex Company, and it's just a wooden, I think we have this on sale, on top of sale. So I think there's a double sale you can get on with this too. And so you'll see it starts with the largest hole, and then they just get like incrementally smaller and smaller. So if you have a portion of your back of your necklace that you want to kind of tighten up, you would go through, you go through the largest one first and see if that, and you can even do this with beads. If you've got small beads, like if you were using all seed beads or really small fire polish or crystals, and you wanted to like go through the whole thing and even it out, you can pull that all through. Since I've got some larger beads here, that's not really going to work on this design, but I'm going to even out this end piece here. So you go through the big one, and then you go to the next one, and you just lightly pull through and then back. And then I go to the third one, and you just keep going until it can no longer pull through or you're happy with where the wire is in terms of its diameter and compression. So I think I've got like a little weird loop right on that one because I was kind of doing whatever I wanted at some points.
Mm-hmm.
So this was like a weirder loop than others. Okay, and so you see what I'm doing? Like I'm just going tighter and tighter through each of these little holes. And that is how you can compress it if you wanted to have more of a compressed chain look on your back end instead of it being loopy. And as it pulls it, it just hardens it up a little bit each time. So it's a lot, it just gets stiffer with each little compression. So that, yeah, I'm glad that that finally dawned on me that that might be the tool that you can use to achieve that effect. So here's what my chain turned out to be. It is long enough for a necklace. I just added a cone and a bead on one side, and I have to finish the other side. But yeah, it's really kind of fun. And a few things to note where you had said your beads will stick out a little more if your loops are too tight. I feel like I had that happen maybe like here.
Yeah.
My bead is not quite as flat on my design. So, I mean, it's okay, but I understood when she said that, I understood what was happening there. So just by looping them a little bit larger, then you have your beads will lay a little flatter. So this section here, I did better because I lightened up a little, whereas this section I was a little bit tight.
Pulling it tighter.
So it's a little more wonky in that area. But this was super fun, and I love that I got to learn an entirely new technique today. Thank you so much, Joyce.
You're welcome. I love it. I think that's great. And it is a great technique for so many things. You can make necklaces and bracelets and earrings and
let me go ahead. Oh, you want to bring yourself back up, or do you want to show us anything else? Are you all set?
I'm done. I found a magnet real quick, and so I put it on there. One nice thing about the wire is that you can kind of like, if it's, sometimes I still aim it too big or too small. So I can either kind of pull it a little bit to make it bigger, or I can push it together to make it a little bit smaller. So don't be afraid to kind of mold it a little bit once it's on.
The nice thing about the hard wire, the copper wire, is that it'll keep its shape within reason a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, look at how fun that is. So cute.
And they're just all nestled in.
So
I know that sunbeam is great, isn't it?
What beads are new that are going up? Is the cactus flower?
Actually, all of them is. All of them that I'm using. Yes.
I did not use.
The suns are, the birds and the suns. This cactus. The cathedrals are a new color. I mean, they're new colors of cathedrals. The rice, faceted rice. The rondelles. Even the fire polish is from the new stuff.
So that's all going. So pretty. I love cathedral cut. I think they're such a fun shape.
They are, and they just came out with some new colors that they have never really done on them. So I'm just loving it. Like the one that I used is this rainbow, but also with this like steel pewter smoky color with that rainbow. I just think it's, and then
they add such an elegance to everything. Ooh,
or the rainbow with the copper.
Oh, that's really pretty. Really, really pretty. So take a look at Just Bead It on Etsy. And Damien, if you could throw that link up again, we'll share it one more time so that everyone can go check out your shop. These beads are coming any day now? This
Any
week?
day. Some of them are going to be going up this evening right after this, and some of them are going to be going up on tomorrow and Thursday, or the other days that I'm going to be working on that. So,
Oh, so keep an eye out that they'll be going up today.
and they're all going to be, and even though they're new, they're going to be part of the 20% off. We have everything for our anniversary, our 20th anniversary, 20% off until the end of this month. And we're going to be throwing up some $20 grab bags every year for our anniversary. We do a grab bag in the number of our year. So they're
Oh,
going to
how
be 20.
fun.
Yeah. And so they're going to be $20 grab bags, and going to have like, probably about $30 to $35 worth of stuff, because it's just fun to do grab
Oh,
bags.
that's fantastic. Yay, that's the way to do it. So be sure to be on the lookout for those grab bags too. Kim says, crochet beads are a technique I've wanted to do, and I will pick up tools tomorrow from Softlex. Thank you, ladies.
Awesome.
Becky says, thank you for a great tutorial. Yeah, it was super, super fun. This was an extra long free spirit beading.
I know. I'm sorry that it went a little longer than I was like, okay, I got to do this shorter, but
it's kind of one of those techniques that you just have to go, do. Sometimes we have to have a longer video to be able to get those kind of things in. And thank you for reminding me, Damien. We do have a live bead sale at Softlex Company tomorrow at 12 p.m. It is from Mike Sherman's private collection, one-of-a-kind unique beads and gemstones, all sorts of fun stuff that will be in that sale. So join us on Facebook at noon Pacific time tomorrow. It's a 2-part sale. And they're always a lot of fun. You're going to be able to shop until Thursday, but the closer you can get to the live time, the better, so that you have first dibs on all of the unique items that we'll be sharing. So much love for you, Joyce. Great tutorial.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you everybody for joining us today and sticking around with us for this video. It will be here available for replay, so you can watch it on the Softlex Company Facebook page or YouTube channel at any time after we end the broadcast. So you can come back and take a look. So I know this will be a fun technique. I'll hopefully be seeing some of you guys share in the VIB studio on Facebook if you give it a try, what your piece came out like. And I did do a necklace because I didn't want to stop, but I really like how the multi-strand feels because it just really goes with the style. So I might have to do another strand of this to kind of get more than one strand to feel a little more exciting and within that, wrapping fun.
Absolutely. I really do think that that it looks great as a multi-strand necklace. Technique.
Yeah, super cool. Thanks so much, Joyce. It was so fun.
You're welcome.
And I can't wait to be seeing so much more of you.
I know, me too. It's going to be exciting.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.